Welcome to the So Social Radio Show. I'm your host, Richard Martin, along with my amazing co-host,
Cheri Martin, and we are the WCN Interactive Team, business growth, marketing, and social media consultants helping you to
dream it, plan it, build it, and most importantly, successfully do it.
That's right, Richard, for growth, prosperity, and success. That GPS plan that we love. And each Wednesday at 12 noon on talknetworkradio.com, we share tips and techniques to grow you and your business, plus demystify social media and marketing for you so you can have more fun.
And my favorite, more profits.
Yes, yes, yes. We also want to make sure our listeners know they can always connect with us on Facebook at So Social Radio Show. Give us a like there. Let us know what topics you would like to hear a conversation on. We're all about education and want to bring you what you want to learn. We also are booking now for the rest of this year, 2017. So if you're interested in joining us as a special guest so that we can showcase your expertise, make sure that you give me a call. That's Cheri. And my number is 321-446-2156. We have an awesome, cool special going on right now if you get your show booked here before the end of this month, which is next Monday, July 31st. But I'll tell you what, it's a little hot out there, so I wanted to give a cool special. So make sure you give me a call. Just let's have a conversation. And if you want to get some more information about the So Social Radio Show, go to sosocialradioshow.com and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the people that make this show possible.
I like
that. I want to start out with Toastmasters, a world leader in communication and leadership development. Find out how you can improve your speaking and leadership skills. Visit toastmastersd84.org.
Also, everythingbrevard.com, a Brevard County, Florida community website. Keep up to date with everything that's happening here in Brevard and get your business listing on everythingbrevard.com.
And Business Acceleration Summit, not your typical business training and networking event or pitch fest. This is a rapid growing business and social entrepreneur and mastery growth business while creating a deeper impact for client and community. Go to businessaccelerationsummit.com to register for the next event on September 28th, 29th at the Crown Plaza Oceanfront, Melbourne Beachside.
A beautiful resort there.
Crown Plaza is awesome.
And the summit will be phenomenal. Also, we want to give a shout out to our So Social Radio Show July sponsor. We had Amanda Miller with Sheer Artisans Salon and Art Gallery with us last week. Today is a fun day for her because she has her grand opening and ribbon cutting. And Sheer Artisans Salon and Art Gallery is a full-service salon specializing in hair color, skincare, and makeup. They're located in the Shops of West Melbourne, Florida. That's at 1533 West New Haven Avenue, just directly across from the Melbourne Mall, for those of you that are familiar with Brevard County. The salon also hosts a gallery of fine artwork from local artists. So join Amanda and Mark Miller again today at their grand opening it's all day long, but from 4 to 6, it's going to be a fun celebration with the ribbon cutting at 4:30. So, like I said, lots of friends, food, fun, and amazing door prizes. And you can contact Sheer Artisans at 321-729-8989. That's 321-729-8989. And Richard, also, you have something coming up here, in about 2 weeks?
2 weeks. It's the 10th of August, and it's going to be at Buena Vista Estates out towards West Melbourne, out that way. And we're going to be talking about building brand influence through social media. Everybody wants to know how to make social media work. You know, how do I not necessarily generate money on it, but how do I generate money through building a proper social media brand? And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a packed class, and it's all going to be about how you can be known as the one in what you do on social media.
It'll definitely be a lot of fun. I know we had your first one on this topic here beginning of this month, right?
Yes, it was the beginning of July, yes.
And I know the attendees there just really had a lot of fun, and they were blown away with the information that not only that you shared, but how you actually had them really focusing on their behaviors on social media and how important that is to understand your behavior almost like a disc profile.
No, it is. The system I've come up, I haven't seen it anywhere else, so I'm going to claim it as original, although I kind of use the disc visual format in what's in it.
Yeah, and you've really tweaked it to be a really phenomenal program.
It's all about standing out and being the one in social media, because that's where the people are today. We go out and we network. We go to a chamber event, leads groups, other socials around there, and it's all about us having to take the next step to do the connection. And most of that today is through social media. Whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, doesn't matter. The system is the same. The process is the same. And we're going to have some fun going over this on the 10th of August at Buena Vita there.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I know that I've spoken to a number of the attendees that were there, and I don't think there was one of them that did not say, first of all, how much fun it was. It was very enjoyable, but most importantly, as I said, informative, and they really walked away with something that they could implement. So again, for those of you that are here locally or in the Central Florida area, it's August 10th, which is on a Thursday from 9:30 to 11:30. Buena Vita Estates, it's over there off of 192 for those in the Brevard County area are familiar, but you can go to a special link so you can get all the details and of course register. The price is definitely affordable. I was like shocked. I won't tell you what he did for his first one. I said, never again are you going to have it at that price. So he did increase it this time because it has just been really, like I said, he's fine-tuned it even from there. It's just phenomenal. But go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/SM brand message. Again, bit.ly/SM brand message. And get all the details there. And if you have any questions, just give Richard a holler. But I'll tell you what, just knowing how we are always focusing on how to be better influencers and to get better reach on social media, it ties right in with the topic that I just wanted to just share today. And I know that, I threw all this at you yesterday. I said, you know what?
we have to put a link. I know I'm throwing this at you blind. We need to put that link that we saw on YouTube that got played.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
we need to put that link up there.
We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit, and I'll tell you where you can go find it when we get into what makes, when you really want to see just a fun conversation using hashtags. And that is what our topic of conversation is today. They've become, I like to say, a fundamental fragment on social media since it was actually they were introduced on Twitter. And we are often asked about hashtags in every presentation we do. So that's why I really wanted to just prepare today and really have this fun conversation about hashtags. What I hear is like, what are they? Why use them? Do I have to use them? How do I use them? Where do I use them? Can you ever use too many hashtags, which is going to be yes. What are some do's and don'ts, as well as, I had a client recently email me. He says, I want to own my own hashtag. I don't want anybody else to use it. Well, we're going to say you cannot own a hashtag, but we're going to share with you a tool that you can go and actually register your hashtag that will help you get more reach as well. But so grab some, paper and a pen, because as I said, this conversation is going to go fast. You know how we talk and how much fun we have, and we just like, woo, let's go. So, but I first wanted to ask Richard if he even knew this. It was something I did not know until I started researching and doing more in-depth research on Twitter that the fact is that hashtags did not begin on Twitter.
No, they did not. I know that, but I don't necessarily know the site that it was put together on. But I know Twitter is the one that made them the superstar.
Right. They were introduced and started on Twitter in 2007, I believe it was. But back in 2000, the hashtag's first use was actually on what they call an IRC, which is an internet relay chat. Basically, they were used to categorize items into groups. What I understand about the IRC, and I know you are more technical on this than I am, it's a chat system that works on like global networks and servers. And like I said, they used the hashtag as tags mainly to sort. And that is what hashtags really do.
Yeah, it's actually a database code. And what you can do in some databases that use those, you put a hashtag, and then the word immediately after that can be searched, can be called up in searches. Well, that's pretty much what social media is using now, particularly, Facebook and Twitter.
And Instagram.
And Instagram is using it also
and
now.
Those are the three that we're going to kind of talk about today on, how to use them on those three. I mean, there are a number of different sites that you can use them on, but there's one in particular that you really do not want to use it on. Do you know which one that is, Richard?
No, I do not.
Really? LinkedIn. and the main reason that you don't want to use it on LinkedIn, again, that is the largest professional networking site, and it's really kind of frowned on LinkedIn if you use it there. It's kind of like I guess you could say it doesn't resonate with the individuals with the kind of conversation that's happening on LinkedIn. So very rarely will you see it. So you have to really be very careful when you're actually scheduling or putting together a group of postings that you want to put out on social media, that you want to make sure you're not taking the exact post you put on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and pushing it over on LinkedIn, especially if you have those hashtags in there. You want to make sure you do remove them.
Good sound advice. Now, when I use that hashtag, and I go ahead and I put it up in the search bar, right? Okay. So I put hashtag WCN for our business. Okay. Now, is it just going to pull up our WCN?
Oh, no. In fact, that's why you really want to understand what hashtags are and why you want to use them. Because basically, a hashtag, as you kind of were describing about how it was used in the IRC, that chat thing, whatever, that server global chat box, whatever. It's basically just simply a keyword or a keyword phrase spelled out without spaces if you use more than one word with that pound sign. And I don't even think people call it the pound sign anymore. They call it the hashtag sign.
It is a hashtag. Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's kind of has a new definition now, I think, even in our dictionary. But you put that pound sign in front of a word or a group of words, again, with no spaces. For example, like one I use a lot is content and marketing. If I use it singular, like individual word, I would put hashtag content, hashtag marketing. Or if I wanted to put the two words together without the spaces, I would put hashtag content marketing. And what happens is
as one word?
It's kind of a group of words or a phrase of words, when you have more than one word. Precisely. So basically using these hashtags in a social media post, then it sorts out a stream of conversation surrounding a certain topic. So per your question, would it just be my hashtag? No, anyone using a specific hashtag, all of that conversation has the potential of being in that stream. But there is a caveat. You have to make sure that when you're posting it, it is a public post. Only public posts will appear in a hashtag search across all social media. So it couldn't be if you were doing it in a private group or a group that does not allow other people to see the postings. Also, if you had your, say on Facebook, for example, you have your settings set to just friends, or, more of a private public, for your privacy, and you use hashtags, it will not be found in a search. So for marketing purposes, we want to make sure we're putting those on a public post.
Makes absolute sense there. And I like being able to sort by topics. Google does searching by word on that, and this way we can define our topics that we want to be found for across that whole spectrum, which is really interesting, because it's much more than just a word. It's a topic. It's a subject matter for discussion, and it's how we think more than just a word.
Yeah, exactly right. You're I should say precisely right, because when using hashtags properly, what you are doing is you're providing a great way for individuals and brands to make those social media posts more visible and increase engagement. So they can actually, and this is why you really want to use them, and why you have to be using them if you have a strategy to gaining a bigger reach with your postings, especially, with the way all these algorithms work on all the social platforms anymore. We have to really find ways around that so that we are seen by more people. And again, when we put information out on social media, we are wanting it to gain a momentum, to reach people that don't yet know us, so that we have a better opportunity to have more conversations. So again, you want to make sure, as I said, that you really focus on what it is that's going to target your ideal market with the type of hashtag you put together. And we're going to talk more about do's and don'ts of hashtags, but I'm just trying to.
So what you're saying is this. I know, like in Facebook, the reach that you get on a post is not what it was a few years ago. It's what, 5% maybe?
2% on your Facebook page. 2%. Yeah. That's about it.
About all the people that are going to see it.
Yeah.
So I may have 400 plus people on my page, but if I'm looking at 2%, I'm looking maybe 8 people. Are you kidding me?
So we really want to make sure that, again, everything that we focus on when we're doing, helping our clients with their strategy, with their marketing plan, social media marketing plan, or anything that they're doing, we're really focusing on what is going to help them reach their target market. And that's when the hashtags are coming in certain postings. And we're going to talk about, how many should we use in a post? Should we use them on every post, et cetera? We're going to, again, share some do's and don'ts here today before we finish our conversation. But I really, to kind of give examples so people that are not familiar, they probably see them, but they're not really familiar why they're being used. It really, you have to think and wrap your head around that hashtags are often used to, as I guess you could say, unite conversations around certain, as we said, topics, or like events. How many times we use a hashtag Super Bowl, or when the Olympics were on a few years ago, hashtag what, Rio, is that where it was?
Yep,
Yeah, Brazil.
yep.
Rio 2016. We're always looking, and what happens when you're using that in your message, you're going to be then placed in an area where other people are using those hashtags too. And so when someone searches for that topic, and it doesn't always have to necessarily be, and they search within the search bar on those social media platforms, they all have them, and they don't even have to necessarily even use the hashtag. They can just put that term in there, and it will actually bring up a lot of different things like postings or pages or groups, events, etc., with these type of search terms. Remember, unfortunately, we just had the anniversary of the Pulse shooting a year ago. Everyone was hashtag pray for Orlando. That was a real big one that really pulled together a lot of healing and a lot of, good conversation that people could just really come together and start talking and sharing. So again, holidays, celebrations, what is the one
I mean, we're coming up on the holiday season, so get used to it now.
What would be a good one for the holidays?
You could be, doing holiday wishes on that from your particular site. Now, that may not drive them totally back to you, but you could come up with happy holidays and then put your name in there, first name, last name, or something to create a little bit of a unique character for yourself. So, if you're on your business page, it might be like us, hashtag Happy Holidays WCN.
Well, there's actually a tool that you can use if you want to see if a hashtag will work for you. I'm going to share a couple tools today, but one of them is one called Right Tag, and that's RITETAG. So righttag.com, RITETAG.com. And basically what it does, it is a tool that you can put in a hashtag, and it will show you whether or not your hashtag is a good hashtag to use. Maybe it's not being used that often, so they'll say, oh, that one's not really viewed too often. That would be not a good one. Or perhaps you're using one that is being used often. Like with holidays coming up, a lot of them will be putting hashtag Small Business Saturday. So that might be an overused one. So this tool, Right Tag, will let you know, hey, that hashtag's being used a lot. Here are some other suggestions that would still get you in a stream of conversation that people are looking for that topic, and they give you ideas and suggestions. So it is a phenomenal tool to use. It's free too.
I like free. That works with me.
Yeah, exactly. It just really helps you improve your own use of hashtags, and also giving you, like I said, that statistic insight to what popular hashtags to use and which ones not to use. So, and I always also, when we're on that, thinking about how to use and what hashtags to use, whenever I come up with one, I will actually go do a search on the social platforms to see what is being talked about underneath that tag, because it may not be real appropriate, because other people might use it inappropriately, and you're going to be in that mix of conversation, and you may not want to be. It could be offensive. So if people found you there, so you have to really understand before using a specific hashtag why you should or shouldn't you be using it. Does that make sense?
No, makes total sense. Yeah, that's just protecting your brand reputation. On doing your due diligence in there.
Yeah, I mean, and we've probably seen many times, especially with different themes on specific days, during the week or whatever. The Throwback Thursday. A popular hashtag is hashtag TBT. Motivational Monday. Hashtag Tuesday Tip Day or something like that. People use specific type of hashtags again on their postings, and I want to kind of get in and talk a little bit about how to use these hashtags on, like Facebook, not LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and how you can decide whether or not maybe you're using them too much or maybe you shouldn't be using them on certain posts as well. So again, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are the top social sites that, as I mentioned, hashtags are used on. We remind you, we don't recommend that you use it on LinkedIn, again, because it may not resonate with your connections and might make you look bad. And
no, LinkedIn is trying to be a corporate type of site where people come together for pure business. It's not that you can't use hashtags for business. It's just they're more about the connecting one-on-one than they are on hashtags per se.
Exactly. And with Twitter, as we'll start with there, since that's where they were kind of introduced, even though they didn't start on there. And like I said, that was really an insight for me. I had just assumed, because I'm thinking social media, that hashtags just started there on Twitter, but they were introduced on Twitter around 2007. And when they are in a tweet, you can actually click on them, a hashtag, and it does take you to that stream of conversation so that you can understand and see it better. Also, when you are putting posts together, we all know on Twitter it's a short conversation. It's a short post.
Twitter's very short on that, but it is the one, like we said earlier, that is most user friendly for doing that type of stuff. So hashtags are clickable on Twitter, so they're also, you can use them to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And, you do still need to, and it's kind of changed over the years, and we have to remember that. Social media is continually evolving, and there are always changes happening. When we first started using Twitter back in around 2007, 2008, everyone was using gobs and gobs of hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
And now Twitter best practices recommend that you really don't use any more than 2 hashtags in a single tweet.
Well, even 2 is a tremendous amount. I mean, we'll go with their recommendation, but you've only got 140 characters, so you don't have a lot to deal with in the first place, and 15 of them are reserved for retweets, so that brings you down even more. Mm-hmm. So you have to actually use your hashtag and think of it as just a single character and get it in front of your keyword.
Exactly, and that's what you're doing. Is you're putting a word within that message on Twitter, and by putting the hashtag in front of it, because you can get by on Twitter actually using the hashtags in the message, whereas on Facebook you want to use them, and even on Instagram you want to use them after the message. You don't want to put them as part of the conversation. But Twitter, because you're so limited, you can get away with that. And you also want to make sure that you are using at least one hashtag in all your tweets.
Question. And I don't know the answer to this question, so we'll go wherever this takes us.
I hope I do. If not, hopefully somebody else
can will. I put a hashtag in front of HTTP : and a URL?
No.
Cannot do it in front of a web address.
Well, for one reason, you cannot use symbols in a hashtag. It has to be letters. So, or numbers. But if you just did one for a number, it wouldn't show up. But if you did a number with some letters, then it would. So again, it's a practice.
Just a thought that came through my mind.
But and here's why you really wouldn't even need to do that. When you're putting a web address or what they call the Twitter handle with the @ or an @ on even Facebook, if you're using a hyperlink to a page or whatever, or you're using a web domain going to a website, they're already hyperlinked, so they're already clickable. So you would.
There you go. There's the answer, folks.
You wouldn't need to. But anyway, I thought you were going to really stump me here today, Richard, because we're always learning, and
I can't stump the social media queen.
Well, I'm the first to admit that I'm constantly researching because, it does change all the time. I mean, I am still one to use sometimes more than 2 in my tweets, and I have to be very careful with that because I want to make sure I'm doing the best practices that are being acceptable today and making sure that my message is getting read, because the whole purpose of using these hashtags is you want to improve what we call readability of your messages, and also getting a greater reach and engagement. But here's a tip on hashtags too that you might want to consider, especially if you're using, not necessarily if you're using a single word, but if you're using a group of words, even if it's just 2, you might want to do what they call camel case, where you're actually capitalizing the first letter of each word, still not putting any spaces between it, but like with content marketing. If I said hashtag content marketing,
so it'd be hashtag capital C for content, capital M for marketing.
Precisely. And that way, people, when they look at it, they can actually read it. Because, and I'll give this is a do not do. I mean, there are so many people that make up these long hashtags, and they're all lowercase. And it's like a complete sentence, and you're looking at it. First of all, it really doesn't make any sense when you're trying to to read it and you're trying to decipher it, it's going to take too much of me to work at it, so I'm going to forget about it. And also, if you're not capitalizing it, but also if you're using a real long hashtag that nobody else is searching, what's it going to do for you? If this is marketing. Now, having fun on social media, some people will put that, Sunday Fun Day or something like that, or I'm trying to think of, I'm not really into these long hashtags, so I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but I see them all the time out there. More on the personal side when they're just having fun, but I still, I don't ever click on them. I don't go search them. So somebody's just using that as part of their conversation, So again, that's just my thought, my recommendation. You do what you want to do with that. But, again, really focus on what you want to accomplish with your tweet when you're putting those hashtags in. And it also goes along with Instagram. Instagram it's extremely hashtag friendly for sure.
Oh, absolutely so.
It is. You can get by with using a lot more hashtags on Instagram. In fact, some people don't even put any text in their message with their image or their video. They just put a bunch of hashtags. And I would say beware of that. You still want to have a brief message.
Instagram may accept it and they're not going to block you for it, but you still have to get a message across. And too many hashtags, the mind doesn't comprehend what it's putting out there because our whole life we've been taught to read a certain way. Mm-hmm. So whether it's English, Spanish, German, whatever the language is, the hashtag works, but too many of them may destroy the content and the context of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Social Bakers did a Instagram study a few years ago, and what they found is that posts that used hashtags had an average engagement rate of 5.31%, while posts that did not use a hashtag on Instagram averaged an engagement rate of only 2.95%. So that
let me get this.
Okay.
So you're talking about if I use a hashtag, I'm going to get almost double the engagement that I would if I did not use a hashtag.
And this is on Instagram. Correct, because when you use these hashtags, it actually brings up similar photos or videos because you're captioning your images on Instagram when you're using these hashtags. So they group these images together. So you're going to get more people viewing. And that's what people search for. When they get on Instagram, they search for hashtags for particular topics that they want to know more about. So yes, that's going to double your engagement for sure. However, this I found interesting. While the best campaigns made use of hashtags, engagement rates dropped by more than 50% if there were more than 10 hashtags per post. Because I know that when I first was learning Instagram, they said, just freely use hashtags. But I found that really interesting that all in all, 7 hashtags generate the most engagement. That is what is found by a lot of the experts. And that's kind of just, they have found that when you start using more than 8, then people perceive that as spam. So again, this is kind of evolving. Maybe in the beginning, you were able to, just like on Twitter, could use numerous. But now, to really not looked upon as just spamming, you can actually get by getting that engagement rate up by using, I would say, between 3 and 7 hashtags on Instagram. That will really help you.
Interesting. Very good on that.
And I know you don't Instagram, so.
No, I do not Instagram. I do tweet every now and then, though. I am more active on Twitter. In fact, I've met some amazing people on Twitter, but that's for a different time on that. But it all works through hashtags and your subject matter on Twitter. on putting that together. So that to me is the cool part.
Well, and this all gets back to Facebook, because there are a number of people that just do not like hashtags being used on Facebook. Back in 2013 is when Facebook basically started, having hashtags be accepted on Facebook. I know we did some webinars on hashtags and did some blogging and some other articles and such in there. But why marketers want to be using hashtags on Facebook, it's really quite simple. They want to integrate it with Instagram, because who owns Instagram?
Facebook?
Yep. So they work together. Instagram is the one third party that Facebook lets play on their playground. They don't. Why
would they stop them if they own them?
I mean, they really don't like to have those third parties. They're not, they spank them. They don't like them, but they do love Instagram, and you can have these two sites integrate together. So what happens is, if you have an image, if it gets shared on either network, Facebook or Instagram, say on Facebook, then it will get picked up on Instagram. So maybe you have a hashtag shared on Instagram, it'll get shared and picked up on Facebook. So that's kind of why now marketers are really seriously putting in their strategies, hashtags on their Facebook postings, because now you're actually doubling your reach with that one hashtag. Pretty cool?
Well, that answers a big question, for me. And when we're coaching with people on how do I get my reach? How do I get in front of more people? How do I be more visible? All of these type of things. Then obviously the hashtag would work, and it's priced right for me. It's free.
Well,
you just got to learn it.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have to experiment with the hashtags, especially on Facebook, to see what's working and what is not working. And they are more likely to be used by companies or brands, organizations, than they are by the individuals, as far as for the purposes that we're talking about, getting that reach. Again, on the personal side, they're used more as just part of the conversation to have some fun with the long hashtags and such. But even though they do help with engagement on Facebook, they're not used anywhere near as often as they are on Instagram and Twitter. So we have to remember that and be, again, understand the usage on Facebook. In fact, overusing hashtags can hurt you across all the platforms. As we just shared with you, our audience, about on Instagram, if you use more than 10, you're actually going to decrease by 50% your engagement. So that's going to hurt you. So you have to understand that. And with Facebook, they're really saying 1 to 2 hashtags is going to get you be more accepted on Facebook and get you a better reach than if you use multiple. And, I really have been one that I have, when I'm first learning, I used more than I do now. But there are some times that I have a strategy in mind that I have used more than 3. Normally I use anywhere from 2 to 3 on a post, but I monitor those. I look to see what's happening on each one of those posts with the analytics on Facebook, so that I can tell if it's gaining or an engagement or a reach, or if it has diminished the reach or engagement. So you really have to stay on top of it so that you are, again, using it for the purpose that you want to be using it for.
Makes sense to me.
In fact, like I said, it has changed a lot since 2013, when Facebook first started allowing the hashtags on their postings. People did get crazy with them. So again, people have learned, especially marketers, and how best to use them. But I also wanted to provide another tip on Facebook, whereas on Twitter, as I mentioned, you can use the hashtag within the stream of conversation. But on Facebook, you really want to use the hashtag at the end of the message. You don't want to have it be part of the message, because it doesn't allow the person to really read it as in the context that they would prefer to read it. So if you use the hashtag after the message at the end, again, it's going to resonate more with an individual reading your message, and chances are they'll read your full text message there.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if I'm reading through just an average post on Facebook, 20, 30, 40, 50 words on along those lines, if I got 3 hashtags in there, that kind of breaks up my reading. So what you're saying is write my 20, 30, 40, 50 words, and then at the bottom do my hashtag below the text.
Yeah, especially on Facebook, and the reason being, it has through a lot of the experts that are out there that do these testings and do surveys and such and studies. They have found that especially on Facebook, if you use if you don't use strategic hashtags or that pertain to the topic that you're talking about, or if you use more than 2, it can actually suppress your reach and engagement, and then that takes away exactly what you want to have done. You're using the hashtag to be seen by more people, again, to gain a better reach and be seen in more threads of conversation and specific topics. So, use them wisely, and that's all I can really say. Experiment with them. See what works for you, what doesn't. As I said, go to that one tool that I talked about called RiteTag, RITETAG.com, and put in hashtags and see if they are being used, or maybe they're not being used enough, or maybe they're being used too much. But this will help you get some statistics on hashtags so you can make sure that you're strategically using them in the manner that you want to be using them.
Makes total sense to me. So I think I better take you up on that advice on that.
Now, there are some do's and don'ts, and want to definitely talk about that. So we shared a few of some do's and don'ts that you don't want to do. You don't want to be using those for marketing purposes. Those are real long hashtags, You want to keep it short and sweet, and you really want to be using one hashtag consistently. Really have a hashtag that you want to use consistently in all your postings. So that would be your
more or less branded hashtag, so to speak.
A branded one. And it doesn't have to be the name of your company.
No, but whatever the hashtag is, and if it's consistent through all of your posts, eventually people will use that to recognize, who you are and understand, well, that's Cheri that's posting that, or that's Richard that's posting it, So, putting that together, but like you said earlier, use it tactically.
Yes,
I
like that.
Just don't throw it out there. Just don't be haphazard with it. It's going to end up being a branded item to you eventually if you use it long enough and often enough on social media. So you're going to get it, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Twitter or whatever, doesn't really matter, Instagram, whatever. It will become your moniker sooner or later.
Right. I mean, the more, this is a doobie. I mean, the more specific that you get with your hashtag, the more targeted your audience will be. And a more targeted audience generally means better engagement, right?
Oh, exactly. That's the whole purpose that Facebook was put together, was to connect people. Now they've gone through a bunch of different iterations over time and generally improved along the way. But you got to be known before you're needed.
You got that right, Richard. And and again, across all social media, these are communication tools. So we need to find effective ways to communicate to reach that audience. So if you, as you just said, if you don't have your own business hashtag, you need to find 1 or 2 existing ones that really fit your message. It doesn't have to be one that you make up. In fact, as I shared in the beginning when we started today, that I had a client want to know, I want to own my hashtag. I don't want anybody else to use it. Well, guess what? You want others to use it. Why?
You're going to show up in their searches.
Yes, you're going to be seen by more people.
If you have it and 10 other people have it, but you're, say, in the state of Florida and they're scattered out over the rest of the country, who do you think in Florida they're going to go to? Because they're going to go look at it. Well, this person's in my general locality. All right, this is the person I want to work with.
That is so spot on. But here's the thing. You can actually register a hashtag, but you cannot own it. So there is a tool out there. It's actually like a social platform. It's called Twubs, and that's TWUBS.com, Twubs.com. And I'm going to put these tools on our So Social Radio Show Facebook page so that you'll have these, and they'll click right to them so you can get more information. But what Twubs does, it actually helps you register a register a hashtag. And on this platform, then, when someone goes in to maybe find out more about that hashtag or who is using it, maybe they saw you using it, so they want to know more about you. You've actually created a profile, and it has a little chat room in there that then you can, start having a conversation right there. It's an interesting way to get closer to conversations, about hashtags and help to understand specific conversations that are happening right there in real time by going in and getting more information about someone that is using that hashtag if they've registered it. If they're not registered on Twubs, then no, you're not going to gather that information. So if you're using a specific hashtag, consistently, go see if it's available. And if so, registered on Twubs, because again, that is a great place. It's basically a hashtag directory is what it is. Super, super cool tool.
That's good. That's going to let you know what's happening out there in the world, and hopefully yours will be available so you can be the Twubs search person.
Twubs. That really brings in my speech impediment from grade school. The W and the R. Twubs. But anyway, so that's all fun. So that's a great deal. And also do cater hashtags to the social network you're using. We've kind of emphasized that by talking about, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They each have the same fundamental purpose of content tagging and discovery. However, as we said, each site has their own tonality, just like when you're putting a message out there. You need to understand those sites. And also, come up with some relevant, unbranded hashtags because, again, emphasizing they don't have to mention your brand name, but they should represent your brand and what you stand for.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some burning the gray matter and getting it exercised a lot out there. But, when you do that, the word is out there that you're looking for on there. And, the more you search, the more effort you put into it. You might not like how many people have your exact word, but you will find another word that's a synonym to that word that maybe not very many people are using. It's all about work.
And always make sure you don't have any more hashtags than words in your message. And don't hashtag everything. You can post some hashtags without, or you can, post some messages without using a hashtag. If it's not relevant to being found in a search, you don't have to use that hashtag. So, you can use hashtags too much. In fact, on our socialradioshow.com page, I actually have a video up there that I highly recommend if you want to see it there, or you can go to YouTube. And in YouTube, just search for hashtag with Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake. That's
a hoot.
Hashtag with Jimmy Fallon and Justin
this.
Timberlake. If you've never seen this or you didn't happen to catch it live on the Jimmy Fallon show, you have got to go watch this fun video. And again, it just really makes a good play on using hashtags too much. So, Richard, we are done. Oh, my gosh. I love this topic because I just love helping people get their message out to more people.
Well, that's why you're the social media queen, Cheryl.
You're so special. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we have a phenomenal show happening next week. We have like 3 guests here with us. So if you want to learn how to make sure you have a focused follow-up system. Make sure you tune in to the So Social Radio Show next Wednesday. That's August 2nd. We're in the month of August already next week. So tune in at listen.talknetworkradio.com every Wednesday at 12 noon. And everyone make it a
great week.